Hi, welcome to the flipped classroom of Phonetics and Phonology of English in the Modern Languages School at the Central University of Venezuela. We are going to talk about the branches of phonetics, articulatory phonetics, and the speech organs. Let's start. What is phonetics? It is considered the study field of linguistics. What is linguistics? It is a scientific study of language, its structure, and use. So what is language? Let's see some definitions. Edward Sapir defined language as a purely human, non-instinctive way of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires by means of a system of voluntary produced symbols. These symbols are, in the first instance, auditory, and they are produced by the so-called organs of speech. David Crystal defined language as a human vocal noise or the graphic representation of this noise in writing, used systematically and conventionally by a community for the purposes of communication. Definitions of phonetics: the study of characteristics of speech sounds, the study of articulatory and acoustic properties of the sounds of human language, or the study of the sounds that are used to encode a message. Basically, the idea inside our brain comes out with a string of sounds that are transmitted by sound waves and perceived by our auditory system, the ear. Now, it is important to point out the branches of phonetics. The main interest will be in acoustic phonetics, which deals with the physical properties of speech as sound waves in the air. Auditory phonetics, which deals with the perception via the ear of speech sounds. Forensic phonetics, which deals with legal cases, speaker identification, analysis of recorded utterances. Articulatory phonetics, which is the study of how speech sounds are made or articulated. Now, it is necessary to go deeper into articulatory phonetics. In articulatory phonetics, we investigate the movements of the speech system, flow and disturbances of the airstream in the organs of speech, physiology of speech, and the place, manner, and voice. Let's talk about the physiology of speech. On one hand, when we can create sounds considered aggressive, we exhale air. This is the case of languages like English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, German, among others. On the other hand, in some countries of Africa, Asia, and South America, people inhale air while speaking. That is considered an aggressive sound. We should consider the following main components of the physiology of speech. In the subglottal system, below the trachea, we can find lungs. Found in the thorax, there are two sponges that inflate and deflate. They are separated from the stomach by the diaphragm, which rises and falls when air is inhaled and exhaled. They are called activators because they set the airstream in motion. Air goes out of the lungs, travels up the trachea and the larynx. The larynx is a mass of cartilage and is also known as the voice box or Adam's apple. The vocal folds or cords are folds in the muscle. The glottis is a space between the folds. When the vocal folds are relaxed, the air flows freely through the glottis and it is considered a voiceless sound. When the vocal folds are tensed, the air vibrates through the glottis and this is considered voiced sounds. In the supraglottal system above the trachea, we can find the resonators integrated by the pharynx, the passage above the larynx, communicating the oral cavity and nasal cavity. This can slightly change its shape and size. The nasal cavity is constant in shape and size. The oral cavity, which is at the back of the throat, behind the mouth, it's extremely variable in shape and is formed by articulators. The articulators in the surroundings of the oral cavity can be seen as active or movable. This is when they are capable of movement. The tongue, lips, soft palate or velum, and the uvula. Articulators can also be seen as passive or fixed. This is when they cannot move. The alveolar ridge, the palate, the hard palate, and the teeth. To conclude, let's summarize what we have seen so far. Thanks for your attention.
Created using Powtoon.